but I was the state director over 4 veteran cemeteries in Killeen, Corpus Christi, Mission, Texas, and in Abilene. Our biggest and proudest cemetery was a cemetery that sits right outside the former Fort Hood military base. I know it's called Fort Cavazos now. It's just Fort Hood, man. Is just so that name just rings so true, and it brings up a lot of memories for me because we had to travel to Fort Hood when I was Air Force to go down and conduct training with them. But there is a large cemetery right outside Fort Hood, and I tell you, when I was asked to take over that role for the state over the 4 cemeteries as the actual ultimate head, there were reservations. I was hesitating because I'm not a death care industry type guy, but I think what they saw in me was not death care industry. They saw in me a guy with a lot of professional military protocol, and they thought they would fit well, and leadership qualities. Don't get me wrong, but they thought those unique skills would bode well with me being over that entire program. And so I tell you a story. The first time when I did take over, my first visit to the cemetery was at the cemetery outside of the former Killeen Cemetery, Fort Cavazos. So as I made my way through that cemetery gate, remember it's the first time stepping foot on these cemetery grounds after I had taken over. When I stepped through those gates, all my reservations went away. You know, that whole death care industry thing I thought about, I realized that's not what it was about at the cemeteries. It wasn't about death, it was about honor. It was about honor. And, you know, I won't get into it, but I will tell you, when I first took over, we had a lot of issues at that cemetery. And one of my first priorities was to get those cemeteries to a point where they would be, you know, premier resting places for our nation's finest. And I did a damn good job of making that happen. And so I basically just flipped the script on the cemeteries there and just took it from, you know, just a little thing in a dark corner that everybody was scared of to something that the community came out to support and be very proud of. And so I'm proud of what I did for the Texas State Veteran Cemeteries. But the reason I bring that up is because that's when I really began to really understand the close-knit family-like environment of the Army. You know, each of our branches of services are different. We have different cultures: the Navy, the Marines, Army, Air Force, Coast Guard. We have different cultures. You know, the Air Force, obviously, you know, we get we're the brunt end of jokes and things when it comes to who gets taken care of the best in terms of military services. Everybody knows that a lot of money is spent on Air Force folks, and we're staying in hotels while Army folks are in tents. It was more so back in the day, but I'll tell you now that has kind of changed. They've made the Air Force folks more combat ready. Trust me. When I got out in 2009, we had transformed big time from when I came in.